Hi guys, I'm Adam Wilborn from WhatCulture.
And I'm not.
And this is the news.
Ah, you did it again, mate. There's no cuts on this video. Okay. Rusty, back from Christmas.
It's been a while.
It has been a while. It's been a month since we teamed up, in fact.
I'm excited. What have you got for us then?
I should probably talk about some news. So, there is a new Wrestling War Brewing, Adam Wilborn. I don't know if you've heard of this little promotion called AEW, but they're about to launch. They had their big rally the other day, and now it sounds like several talents within WWE who are maybe a little bit upset with their position in that company are thinking about reaching out. They're thinking about exploring their options. This is according to good old Shagger Dave, the comment section's favourite wrestling reporter, on a recent episode of Wrestling Observer Radio. He claims that while there is very much a wait-and-see mentality among WWE talent who might think about making the jump, they've obviously had their head turned. AEW are obviously offering many things that would be beneficial. There's been talk of full healthcare. There's been talk of, obviously, Brandy Rhodes announced equal pay for women. Everyone on the card position will be earning the same thing regardless of gender, which is excellent. Now, Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful.com has followed up on this by actually reaching out to several WWE talents to talk about AEW. Unfortunately, most of them weren't feeling too comfortable doing that, even under anonymity, but it's still very interesting, isn't it? This feels like the first time in ages that there's a real American option outside of WWE.
Yeah, a genuine alternative. That, you know, we had TNA, but they always seemed to be sort of, it was always WWE's cast-offs as opposed to people jumping there to make a big move. I mean, obviously we saw about the Revival the other day, then they're not keeping quiet about what they want to do.
I think anyone on their bum.
Anyone who has got a contract running out in the next year with WWE have got to be eyeing up AEW as a potential alternative, or at least leverage to renegotiate their contract and position on the card.
And that's the thing. If their contracts are coming up now, they've kind of got to act on this now, because who knows what kind of offers are going to exist a few years from now. We don't know how AEW is going to go, and wrestlers are right to be, you know, just a little bit cautious about the promotion's fortunes. But it's very interesting. It's great that so many paying opportunities exist for professional wrestlers in 2019. Almost forgot the year there.
Having said that, though, moving on to my news story for today.
Of course.
If you are sort of lost in the shuffle in WWE at the moment, you could have a potential push in 2019.
I'm glad you said that word, by the way. Let's just get that out of the way.
It sounds like WWE are analysing, pushing people they've sort of forgotten in 2018. And Mike Johnson of PW Insider has reported that apparently Apollo Cruz is going to be pushed by WWE this year. He was sort of given a little bit of a push towards the end of last year. He was obviously involved in the Baron Corbin storyline. He's been getting the odd win on TV.
Got the Intercontinental title shot, of course.
Exactly.
Dean.
He's incredibly talented. He was rightly rewarded with a spot in Titus Worldwide, one of the greatest stables of all time in WWE.
The Brood, mate.
Since then, yeah, he was slightly forgotten, and now I just think they need to give his character something more than being amazing in the ring, because we know how talented he is.
Flippy guy who smiles is very much his persona.
He hasn't really got anything else, but hopefully with a potential storyline that could expose his character a little bit more, I'd love to see more of him. He's phenomenal. I just don't know who you'd put him against, and especially what would be his drive. Would he get for a title?
His motivations. It's Cruz is a really interesting one. He's a phenomenal athlete. He looks really good. He is, of course, very bald, which I like a lot. But for all these positive qualities he does have, there is something of a charisma void there, and I wonder maybe if perhaps his athleticism isn't enough to cover that. Obviously, WWE don't really like managers these days. If he had a mouthpiece, he'd be sorted. He'd be amazing. He'd be so over.
Tyson Hill?
Yeah, okay, cool. But it would still be good to see someone who has been marginalised greatly on the main roster given a greater opportunity. Now,
push Titus 2019.
Yeah, sure. Going back to kind of the idea of competition, and obviously the wrestling labour market is insane at the moment. People are getting snapped up. Everyone is offering these crazy contracts to everyone who has a name. One wrestler who might be on the move, who you may remember from the first Mae Young Classic, is Piper Niven, who is also known on the independent circuit and in Japan and on World of Sport as Viper. Obviously, very, very talented women's wrestler, 27 years old, currently touring Japan with Stardom, which is the biggest Joshi promotion over there. She is apparently going to be approached, this is according to Shagger Dave, again, by WWE when her current World of Sport contract expires. Now, we all know that the world of sport, there's a lot of uncertainty over their future. They've had to cancel a lot of their upcoming house shows. But I think she'd make a very solid addition to the women's roster, and also AEW are interested. They've been bigging up their women's wrestling roster already, and they've only got Britt Baker, Brandy Rhodes, who'll be kind of part-time in the ring, you'd think anyway, and Penelope Ford under contract. So, what do you reckon of that one, Dave?
I'm a big fan of Vibes. We had her in Defiant Wrestling, didn't we, Phil?
Yeah, of course.
I loved watching her in that. I think she is an alternative from the sort of cookie-cutter women's wrestlers that you see a lot of the time, obviously. And I think, pushed correctly in either AEW or WWE, she could be a huge
She'd be tremendous. She could be tremendous, and she's Scottish as well, so obviously I have a natural bias there. But no, she's a tremendous, excellent wrestler. She came through in ICW. She's worked all over the place now. Of course, she was very impressive in that first Mae Young Classic. I was quite surprised they didn't bring her in after that, to be honest. But being away out of the system for an extra year has given her a chance to pick up some new skills, refine her game, sharpen her tools, and she'll come in even stronger than before if she goes to WWE and not AEW.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's one of those things, isn't it, where you see so many people come into WWE, whether it be for a long term or a short term, sort of get a taste of it, go away, develop themselves on the indies, and then come back with far more experience and her talent speaks for itself. I think she'd be fantastic.
100%.
Right, moving on to another AEW star, Chris Jericho. It's been revealed that his contract with AEW, surprise, surprise, is not exclusive. Which means he could still be doing stuff for New Japan going forward into 2019. He would be he said himself, he would love a match with Hiroshi Tanahashi.
Oh, goodness me, yeah. I mean, Jericho has been fantastic in New Japan. He's been phenomenal. The level of matches, the Kenny Omega match, the first 5-star match of his career. Obviously, Dave's word isn't gospel, but it blew me away.
Yeah.
And the Naito match at Dominion was great, although it was more of a prolonged beatdown. The Evil match was not quite on the same level, but of a similar stand, just a little bit below. And the most recent Naito match in the Tokyo Dome was absolutely brilliant. I would love to see more from him in New Japan. I think him versus Tanahashi makes great sense as a main event for perhaps the G1 Supercard.
And we've talked about him and him with AEW, and perhaps the potential of the fact that they've got Chris Jericho there could be make them getting a TV deal even easier, or help really push themselves to the forefront of the wrestling community.
He's a huge star.
Could the fact that he hasn't got an exclusive contract with AEW be the catalyst for more back and forth between AEW and New Japan? Because that was the big sticking point when we first found out about that.
Well, I certainly hope so. Obviously, the talk just after Wrestle Kingdom was that relationship was dead in the water. Now the talk is that because New Japan are so desperate to keep hold of Kenny Omega, that there is a very good chance it may happen again, according to our friend Shagga Dave. So, absolutely, I think that relationship is a good idea. I think that it's something that almost certainly will happen at this stage. And if it opens the door for collaboration, we've already seen AEW, they want to collaborate with OWE, which is the Chinese promotion. It looks like maybe, given that Pac turned up with the blooming belt of the company, that they might be collaborating with Dragon Gate. It's really exciting, this kind of mad global network of wrestling. And if Chris Jericho could be the one to open the door for that along with Kenny Omega, it's very exciting.
It's not a bad time to be a wrestling fan, is it?
Top 5 dead or alive, I'd say. This is tremendous.
Right, let's move on to some of your wrestling questions on Twitter. Don't forget you can tweet at us at WhatCulture WWE. Adonai Zulfikar, I hope I've pronounced that correctly, says, what's going on with the Broken One? Is he coming back or is he done?
Very up in the air, this one, isn't it? Because obviously there was talk that he'd retired, and then he started producing these wonderful network specials, and he has said himself that he's not retired. I think if we see Matt Hardy again, given how beaten up he is and all that talk of his spine and his pelvis or whatever fusing into each other, gross. If we do see him again, I think it'll be on something of like an Undertaker schedule. That doesn't mean wrestling Shawn Michaels and John Cena at WrestleMania. It means showing up once in a blue moon, popping the boys, and then just kind of getting out, because he's still popular.
Absolutely. I think sporadic appearances would probably be the best for him. I know there's been talk of him potentially taken on sort of GM role a few months ago.
Oh, imagine how mental that would be.
It would be crazy, but I'm slightly worried that would sort of water down what he is, perhaps. I think they'd sort of make him be the wacky GM who produces weird matches, whereas sporadic appearances...
like Vince
almost,
Russo.
Not in the same vein, but almost akin to Jericho, of coming in, starting a feud, ending a feud at a single pay-per-view, and then going away for a bit.
Yeah.
You know, like Bray Wyatt should do, turn up, start a feud,
scare people,
do it, and then end it. But you know, maybe he can win the odd one. Who knows? But I think he's fantastic. I think he's clearly huge still with the fans. Yeah. And I wouldn't necessarily want him to come back with a full-time schedule, but sporadic appearances would be great. Cy Stew says, which of the NXT call-ups are going to be in the Rumble this year?
EC3 seems very obvious.
Definitely.
You know, he's main roster. He is a main roster wrestler through and through. Not the best in the ring, but he looks good. He can talk. He can play his character, and he gets over. That seems very obvious. Aside from him, perhaps Nikki Cross in the Women's Rumble.
Yeah, the way they presented Nikki Cross as crazy. I'm slightly concerned they're going to do some sort of mad thing where she like eliminates herself, a la Mankind, when it's not going to get quite the same. Mick Foley not going to get quite the same reaction.
Yeah.
But beyond that, I mean, Lars Sullivan is the one people are talking about, but it's a very, very long shot that Lars Sullivan wins the Rumble. And if you're going to bring him in, how on earth do you eliminate him without taking a bit of the shine off him after they built him up for what, months?
Yeah, you kind of either need to do the Kane thing where he comes in and like chases a guy out and then eliminates himself by chasing this person, or like get 700 people to gang up on him.
I think if you've got enough people on that roster to do a spot where, they're so big, how on earth are you going to get them out? Or just someone lobbing out a load of geeks, basically.
Nerds.
Beyond that, I mean, Lacey Evans, I don't really see that, I think.
Yeah.
I think EC3 is the one I'd put all my money on.
Certainly not heavy machinery.
And finally, I did like this from WWE Matchbot on Twitter. It says, if Russo was to return and book one match at WrestleMania, we live in hope, and he was allowed to hype it from now, what match would it be, who would be in it, and why would it be a Judy Bagwell on a pole match?
Judy Bagwell on a pole as opposed to Judy Bagwell on a forklift. Well, Gangrel would be involved, obviously, because the legend. Vince Russo, it's obviously on a pole match, as Gangrel is a vampire. How about a garlic on a pole match between two wrestlers who want to kill Gangrel? Who looks like they'd want to kill Gangrel? Let's go for the legend, Sonya Deville, and the other legend, Otis Dozovich. Aye, sure.
Right.
I'm sorry.
I'm going to go with, do you know what match we haven't seen in a while, which guarantees excitement, would be perfect for WrestleMania.
I know exactly what you're going to say.
Stretch a match.
We haven't seen in a while. A San Francisco 49ers match.
That's not what I thought you were going to say at all.
What do you think I was going to say?
Reverse Battle Royal, baby.
No, we'll save that. We'll save that for the Rumble if he can suddenly get in here. If he gets a bit of... San Francisco 49ers match for the Universal Championship.
Football title.
Yes.
That's super...
I don't know what you have in the other three.
Futuristic rugby, innit?
The other three boxes. Feel free to let us know in the comments section below. Right, let's move on to our and finally for today.
The best part of the video right at the end.
Andy Murray, I've been doing a little bit of research online, thanks to Reddit Squared Circle for this. Do you know what the second wrestling video is to pass 100 million views on YouTube? The first one, to give you a clue, is Brock Lesnar versus John Cena, the brawl they had, I think, on Monday Night Raw. The second wrestling video to pass 100 million views on YouTube.
Ever. So it can't be that lassie in her tampon the other week. Okay.
It's popular, but it's not that popular, that video.
Surely it's got to be something like Mick Foley getting thrown off the cage.
You'd think.
Yeah.
You'd think.
No.
But this is...
Something Gangrel?
It's not Gangrel related. It is, in fact...
I'm even here.
I love this. The second most popular video, basically, on YouTube is Randy Orton kissing Stephanie McMahon after she's been knocked unconscious. That is a fair reflection of the wrestling community at
How
large, I think.
problematic the wrestling community at large is.
Now, to be fair,
Non-consensual, knocked out kissing.
I'm not agreeing with that, but that feud up until the actual match was really rather good, wasn't it? With the building of the
feud was awesome. Like his war on the McMahons as this complete sociopath, but the unconscious kiss.
Yeah.
If you watched that video, shame on you.
I'm gonna go and watch it again. Let us know your thoughts on that and all of today's news stories in the comment section below. And don't forget you can tweet us Twitter questions at WhatCulture WWE. My thanks to Andy Murray. Thank you for watching, and we will see you soon.
Goodbye. Can't believe you're going to watch that video.